For those that don't know, he's a husband, he's a dad, he's a community leader. He's one of the co-founders. I always say go-to guy because they can always depend upon him. He's a circle of champions. More to me, that's really influence. To none other than Regional Vice President, the great Mr. Dean Tarrolly.
Greetings from an IHOP in Agoura Hills, California. Just had a meeting with one of our business partners, Ray Caldwell, who's typically on this call, but he is talking with one of his friends that we just met with. So out here making things happen. So good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. To try to there's no copying Mr. Thomas when he breaks out that good morning. It's just it's him, man. So it's like this is let him do his thing. So you guys, I have some stuff to go over with everyone, and I'm excited to be here. I think we sort of set the stage last week for what we wanted to try to accomplish this month, and a lot of this was really making sure that people actually understood what it is that we do. And because you got to understand that there's a process here, right? Like what we do and how we do it, there's a learning curve to all of this. Mr. Thomas did not become a regional and then a senior vice president in our company because he knew everything instantly. It just doesn't work that way. You sort of have to embrace the fact that there is a process to this. You have to embrace the fact that there's a learning curve to this. And when you really embrace the fact that there's a learning curve and there's a process to this, it kind of takes some of the pressure off, right? It takes the pressure off because you're in a safe space, okay? You don't have to know everything instantly. And sometimes we feel like there's this pressure to know so much, so fast, so soon. And if you don't, you're falling behind in whatever the case may be. And that's really not the case. So I'm going to dive into my notes here with you guys for a minute. So last week, we covered progress and hard work, motivation, action, and results. And here's really the simple thing. It's just redefining the work in ACN. And this actually was really important for us to review because I'm going to be honest with you guys. And Mr. Thomas, full transparency. Like last week when I said, what are the three things that we do? I was really shocked that so many people didn't realize, and the number of times that I covered it, so many times that I covered this. We do three things. We only do three things in ACN. We get customers, we build teams, and we promote events. That's it. That's what we do. And if something does not fall into or serve one of those three things, then you're not doing ACN. You're thinking about doing ACN, or you are preparing to do ACN. And sometimes what happens is when we feel like we are preparing to do ACN, it almost feels as though we are working. It feels like we're working ACN when we're preparing to do it, but that is in fact not the case, right? So when you understand that there's only three things that we do in ACN, and there's only three things that impact your income, those three things: getting customers, building teams, and promoting the events. Those are the three things that will instantaneously and effectively impact your income and impact your business building. All the other things are preparing to get those things done. All those things are becoming more skilled at getting customers, building teams, and promoting the events. So based on that, and the other thing I said last week that I want to just make sure everybody remembers is, it's so easy to look backwards. It's so easy to look back at what we've done. But remember, in a car, the windshield is much bigger than the rear view mirror. So we need to look back, see where we were, but we got to move forward, man. Like we have to. So the very first thing in my notes are, where are we? Was there any progress this week? It's just a week. But you guys, a week is a long time. That's 7 days, right? So I want you to think about this. I did this, I was just, Franco LaFranco had me come out to Arizona, and I was the guest speaker and trainer for Franco and Martha Hahn and Jason Bergman and this group out there, and they're great. What a really great group. And so on Friday Night Leadership, I talked about a day. I talked about 24 hours. So let's do this and see what you guys think. Here we go. In 24 hours, let's talk about it. Let's say, what do you say, 6 to 7 hours of sleep? Is that reasonable? I know some people need more, some people can go on less. Let's say, all right, let's go large. Let's say 7 hours of sleep. Okay. 7 hours of sleep. And then let's say, in fact, I'll even do this with you, even though I know it. So we're going to say 7 hours of sleep. And let's say you have an 8-hour workday, but you have to have an hour there, an hour back, maybe an hour for lunch. So let's say 11 hours for work in one way, shape, or form. So that's an 8-hour workday, an hour of travel there, an hour of travel back, and let's say an hour for lunch. So 11 hours for work. Now, let's say that you have family and kids, okay? Family, kids, personal life, right? Let's say some of you, this might drive you crazy. Some of it might be okay. But let's say 2 solid hours, dinner, tucking the kids in, maybe reading, maybe watching a TV show together as a family. Let's say 3 hours for family and personal time. Okay. Now, let's say 1 hour of private time. And that could be devotional, that could be reading a book, that could be doing some meditation, that could be just for you, right? Just for you. Let's say that hour could be at the gym. Okay. Let's say that hour is a workout every day. Okay. So let me tell you what we're up to. 7 hours for sleep, 11 hours for work, including travel. That's 18 hours. Then 3 hours for family. That's 1 hour for private time. So you're talking about 22 hours that have been accounted for. You have 2 open hours. 2 open hours. 2 times 7 days is 14 hours a week. Times 4 weeks. That's 56 hours a month. 14 per week. That's, you guys. Let me ask you guys a question. If people put in 56 hours of doing the 3 things we do in ACN, getting customers, building teams, and promoting events, do you think everybody would be a regional director or regional vice president? Honestly, tell me, 100%. 100%. So now let's be realistic here. 7 hours of sleep, that might be realistic. 11 hours of work, it may not be that much. For a lot of you, you know it's not that much. 3 solid hours of family time every day, you guys probably know it's not that much. There should be some there, but it's probably not that much. An hour of private time and then 2 open hours. Now you probably have 3 or 4 open hours. So the question is, what are we doing now? If there was no progress this last week, right? If there was no progress, we need to take a look at something. We just need to look at this together. Here's what it is. Why was there no progress? How was there no progress? And who didn't we follow up with? Who didn't we have the meeting with? Who didn't we, like you guys, Agoura Hills is not that close to Burbank. And I knew that I had to do this call today. I knew that I was going to meet with Ray and his friend who are over in the other booth over here at the IHOP, right? So in fact, hang on a minute. Just so you guys know, I'm committed, okay? There it is. There's the IHOP, and here I am, and there they are over in the corner, chilling. Okay. My point is, you do what you have to do when you have to do it from wherever, right? Like that's kind of how this whole thing works. So it's really, hang on one second, you guys, let me make sure this is not missing something. Okay, so I'll go. Let's see here. Okay, so point is this, is we have to take a look at what took place. So I know that Al, I love the fact that he's starting to ask for like some things at the beginning of this call, accountability wise, right? So if If there was no progress, why wasn't there progress? How come there wasn't progress? Who didn't we talk to? We also have to look at the positive. If there was progress, why was there progress? What did you do? If there was progress, how did you do it? And I can tell you what you did. You simply made a decision that you weren't going to go from last week to this week without advancing your business. And who did you have progress with? Who became a customer? Who joined the team? And here's the big thing, you guys. When you get to that last one, who joined the team? What is your game plan to help them have success? What is your game plan to help them have a fast start to their business and get them a result? That's an important piece of information. That is important to be able to know. That's important to be able to know. Is this all making sense so far to everybody or not yet? Is this making sense? Okay, thanks, Ray. Cool. Okay, good deal. So it's really important to know that. What are we doing to advance our businesses and move this thing forward, move the needle forward? And if not, you guys, and here, I know this was going to fall for a lot of people here. If not, we have to evaluate it and correct it. Right? We've all heard Greg Provenzano and the other leaders say things like this. Either, and you guys can write this down, magnify your efforts or modify your dreams. That's it. You have to magnify your efforts or modify your dreams. You guys, the efforts that need to be magnified are not that much. Getting a customer, peaking people. You guys, there's no reason people can't peak 5 to 10 people a day. It takes 60 seconds. And I think that sometimes people, I don't know if y'all are afraid of rejection. Like, who cares? Who cares? You're offering them a gift. You're not trying to get something from them. Hey, I'm working on a business project. Do you look at other ways of making money? Yeah, absolutely. Great. We should have a conversation. Peaked. If you guys do that 10 times in a day, do you realize what's going to happen? And you're going to fill up those hours with new people to present, new people to get on the phone or get on a Zoom with the leader that you're working with. Right? I hope that this is making sense to you guys. So, something that I want you to think about. Okay, something that I want you to think about. Are you accountable? Here we go. Yes, and write this down. Are you accountable, number one, to yourself? Right, and being accountable to yourself means that did you set a goal on when you're going to have these points done, when you're going to get to the next point threshold? Did you set a goal on when you're going to become a regional coordinator, regional director, in spite of the circumstances that you're in? Did you do that? Are you accountable to the dream that you set? What's the dream if time and money were not issues? Did you set that? Can you imagine it? Can you visualize it? Right? Are you accountable to your coach, the person that's working with you? There's some great people on this call. You guys could get an accountability partner. That's super easy. You get an accountability partner, and now you're holding each other accountable to go after the goals that you both set up for each other. That's really awesome. So when you have accountability, what happens is how do I say this? When you have accountability, you are now obligated to the goals that you set. You're accountable. You're not putting yourself in the position that so many people put themselves in, where they're spectators, not participants, right? And then if you're going to participate, if you're going to do something, do it well. I mean, that's directly from Larry Raskin. Larry Raskin's like, look, if average and excellence are both options, and excellence is actually one of the choices, how could you choose average? But I want you guys to think about how simple it is to go from average to excellent in ACN. It's not a lot. It's going from peaking 1 or 2 people a week to deciding to peak 5 to 10 people a day. Does this make sense, you guys? Like, this is how simple. I want June to be a business. I want June to be a month of simplicity for you guys. So then there's the last part of this, which is really important. One of the biggest challenges, you guys, I think, in any business or anything, is when you know more than everyone else. See, when you know more than everyone else, there's 2 things that can happen. One is dangerous and one is like reassuring. The dangerous thing about knowing so much is that sometimes you have to think of it like this. This could get tricky. So I want to make sure that you guys, that we're good. You ever notice how new people, like if they're launched the right way, new people can get a lot of production. New people can get customers right away. New people can put people in front of the business right away. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is this. For most people in ACN, you write this down, the more you know, the slower you go. Because now it's all these other things that are part of the conversation. There's all these things, right? All these things that are part of the conversation that are ancillary to what it is that we really need to do, which is get customers, build teams, and promote events. All this stuff that muddles and mucks it up. Like, who cares? If I gave you two choices of people to have on your team, someone who barely knows anything, but they got 25 customer points in 3 days, but they're having to call you because they don't know a lot of stuff, or someone who knows everything about everything and they don't have to call you for anything and they got 1 point in a month. I mean, the answer is obvious. And there's a lot of 1 point people in a month. 1 point. You guys, right? You know, a new person gets started on your team. You got to have a game plan to get that person qualified. Some are older, some are younger, some have some money, some don't have some money, some have credibility, some have no credibility. You have to have a game plan to get them qualified and help them get to 5 services to get them a result. This is important stuff, you guys. We're talking about people's lives here, right? And so now the leadership part of this is, how do you make that part fun? How do you make it fun? And I'm telling you, the thing that always makes this fun is the vision of what's coming, the vision of where we're going, the vision of what it is that we're doing. And the single biggest thing, you guys, is we have this event coming up in Baltimore. So I love the fact that Al Thomas talks about this at the beginning of every call. He's counting down the days to Baltimore. So what's the goal here? The goal is to get people in front of the information, find the people that see value in what it is that we're doing, have a game plan to get them a result, and get their behinds to Baltimore, whatever it takes to get them to Baltimore. So let me just talk about this for one quick second before we wrap up. When we're talking about getting people to an event, we're talking about getting people to a national event, right? There's nothing more important than that. And the reason why there's nothing more important than that is because it's impossible, even on a call like this, it is impossible for us to create and cast the vision that really exists within the company without being at a national training. I know, why would Al bring it up at the beginning of every call? He wouldn't. It's that important. So you guys, you have to know where we were to know where we are and understand where we're going. Before the pandemic, ACN had 4 international trainings per year, once per quarter, right? So you would build into the national. And many of you on this call remember that. Some of you weren't even in the business during that time. So then the pandemic happened and everything got turned on its ear. But we did what most companies didn't do, and we adapted through Zoom. Zoom was a blessing because we can all come together in a way we can make the world a smaller place. But nothing beats a high five, handshake, and a hug. And you're seeing people in person and you're there and you feel the energy, you feel the people, you feel the positivity, you feel the opportunity, you feel the forward movement of what it is that we're doing. And you guys, I am telling you right now, ACN has barely even caught its breath. It's barely even caught its breath right now. Wait until we get our sprinting lungs back. And this event, I anticipate, is probably going to be 4,000 or 5,000 people in Baltimore. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. And we get back to the 15,000, 20,000 people events in arenas. And some of you are going to have sections and some of you won't. And you can, the ability to be able to as Efren Tejada, one of my mentors, says all the time, leaders live in the future. So what does the future look like for you in this? Let's say it's 3 or 4 events a year. And you start building from event to event where people are, Dean, it's too late, and the tickets and the prices and this and that. It's not too late. It is not too late for you to get someone to commit to coming to Baltimore. Well, I really need to understand how the comp plan works. That's in Baltimore. Well, I really need to understand that. That's in Baltimore. Well, I really want to learn more about impact health sharing. When I get to them, that's in Baltimore. All the answers to your ACN questions and the opportunity and the key to unlock what it is that you signed up for lies in Baltimore, Maryland. That's it. That's a fact. That's a fact. Because you will not come back the same person. You will not come back the same person, because once you know, you can't unknow it, right? You can forget it, but you're not going to unknow it, because you know it now. You have seen it and you have experienced it. So if we look at last week to this week, right, you guys have to you got to gauge your progress on those three things, on getting customers, building teams, and promoting events. And when we get closer to a national, obviously there's a little bit of a shift, if you will. Like if it's a choice for someone between coming to the national or signing up, do not sign up. Come to the event. Come to the event. Now, if someone can do both, here's what your goal is: get them signed up. Let's get them promoted. Let's get them a rep and get both of them to come to the national. Opportunity is inconvenient. So is becoming successful in anything, in sports, in your work, in relationships. They're all inconvenient. You will be inconvenienced, but it's worth it. It's worth it, because by default, you're separating yourself from what the majority of people do. And the majority of people do, what the majority of people do is not the things that we're talking about today. And the proof is in the pudding. I know Mr. Thomas has done what I'm describing for years and years and years and years and years. And that's why it happened. You know, Mr. Thomas was an overnight success in 15 or 20 years. Right. And that's just the way it works. But there was a willingness for him to do that. He wanted to do that. Right. He wanted to do that, you know, and you guys, you know, when you have some faith in the leaders and the system, your proof is coming. You know, your proof is coming, and that is just a fact. Now, if you don't do anything about it, then it wouldn't matter what the leader does. But if you take action in the three areas that we talked about, and now remember, for next week, I'm going to say the same thing. How was your progress in getting customers, building teams, and especially promoting the events? Did you add one more registration? Did you add one more person that said, you know what, I'm going to, all right, done. I'm going to Baltimore. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. And you get that person to roll with you out to the event and watch what happens for you. Watch what happens for your business. Watch what happens. I'm just sharing with you. So, Mr. Thomas, that's what I wanted to go over. This should be a month of progression. This should be a month of progressing the customer points, progressing the size of the team, progressing the number of people that are coming to the event. So you can set up July because of what happens at the end of June. Well, what happens at the end of June is impacted by what we do today. So, Mr. Thomas, I will turn this back over to you, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, you guys, for letting me do this from the Agoura Hills IHOP.